So you guys actually, you have, I believe, 100 callers, and 60 of them are focused on real estate, specifically real estate clients, right? Who hire you guys to outsource their cold calling for you. So whether you're interested in starting to call, or whether you just want it done for you, or whether you have a call center yourself and you want to learn from somebody who's got a high operating, team, we actually, wanted to learn from you guys. And I was just so excited about what you shared with me, little tidbits of how you've used data to make sure that you continue to have returns on the investment you're making in the data, in the dialer, in the reps. So give us like an overview of your business, maybe if I left anything out. But I'm just happy to turn it over to you guys and learn from you.
Yeah, of course. First of all, thank you for the great introduction. Really appreciate it. It's great to be here with all of you. And yeah, regarding, how we do our operations and what we usually like to do is we're very data driven and we like to utilize data to its full potential, specifically the tools that something like DealMachine, right? L Great potential, and there's a lot of untapped features that I believe not everyone is utilizing. And the way we go around it is by reverse engineering the conversions that we're getting for our clients. We're seeing what works, as well as monitoring every single aspect in the results we're getting or the pickup rate, the conversion. So we'll also see everything. It's going to be layered out into a nice visualization where we can see where exactly things can go wrong, right? Because you might have a cold calling campaign and it's going to be going very smoothly and you're getting leads, everything's working fine, and then suddenly you just something stops, right? Your numbers are going down. Maybe you're getting less calls, maybe the lead quality is going down. And there's a reason behind that, right? There's always a data reason behind it. And the reports that we create allow us to monitor where that happened, right? And from there, we basically just go around it, we find the issue, we solve it, and we offer this to basically our call center, which we manage, and also call centers that need that extra push in their data. So we will begin with sharing a few reports, few graphs as well on how we track down the issues and troubleshoot when it comes to our call center.
We made this dashboard to basically have an idea of what's going on. So, for example, just on this first page that we have, we want to have an idea of the basic metrics that we have for every cold calling campaign out there. Of course, you're going to be wanting to track your dials, for example, how many calls you're making, how many connected calls you're getting out of those dials, how many contacts you're reaching, all of that. But also something we do is, let's say you're targeting a city and you're targeting it by zip code. So you want to analyze which zip codes are bringing you the most conversions and how each zip code is performing. So in this demo, for example, if you take a look at this specific zip code in the middle here, you can see that obviously something is wrong over here because the most common disposition you're getting is wrong numbers. So once you see something like this, of course, you would want to fix the problem. But first of all, you would know that, okay, if I shift my focus away from this zip code that's not working out at all, I can be much more efficient. I can bring a lot more results in. For example, this first zip code we have over here, almost 11 leads out of that. So this is just the first step. And also, of course, if you have a cold calling campaign going on, you might have a lot of callers on the queue, but you want to be bringing the best out of every single caller you have. And some of the most important metrics, in our opinion, for this, of course, it's going to be the number of conversations that they're having. For this example, let's focus in on, let's say, Jack over here. Jack, he's getting around the 200 mark for the conversations. And his peers, they're around the 200 mark as well, some of them even lower. And also one really important factor is the talk time. So for talk time, everyone's around that 3-hour mark, as we can see. but you know, you want to look at the conversions as well. For conversions, you can see that Jack, he's getting half basically the conversions that everyone else is getting. So once we catch something like this, it's it makes it very easy for us to see why something's not working or what the next decision for us is gonna be. So in this case, we're gonna say, okay, Jack, he's on the phone, he's having conversations, but he can't really convert. Maybe, his closing isn't the best. Maybe he needs some coaching there, but we've isolated the problem and we know what our next steps could be to fix this. And also, one really important factor you have to take into consideration is, yeah, you can dial in most states from 8 a.m. up until 8 or 9 p.m. But do you really want to be calling someone at 8 at night? Probably not. They're not going to be picking up. So something else we do as well is we analyze the best times to call. When are we getting conversions? When are we getting the most pickups? And when are people basically the most responsive? So when we see something like this and we look at this dashboard, and let's say we have our callers log in from, let's say, 9 to 5. If I have someone log in from 9 to 5, uh, it would be much, much better to have two people log in from 10 up until maybe 1 or 2. And what's that gonna do is it's gonna have us dialing at the peak times, the times where we're getting the most conversions and the time where we're making the best bang for our buck, basically.
Exactly. So something like this graph, right? It's the best time to call. And doing something as simple as having two part-timers dial from 10 to 1 instead of one full-timer dial the entire day, you're still dialing the same amount of hours. So cost-wise, money-wise, you're paying the same amount, but you're increasing your conversion rate by doing a simple step. Instead of getting one full-timer, you get two part-timers, and they dial according to the best time to call. Something like this, we see increases the total amount of leads that we're able to get for our customer, as well as if we are just managing the data work for the call center. This helps us in basically, again, increasing their numbers, right? Something else we would like to show you as well. Believe it has a great impact when it comes to the data.
Basically, you were getting more appointments between 10 and 1 and 5 and 7 as you were the other times, right?
Yes, and also to answer your question, the best time to call, it differs based on your state, if you're targeting roofing or real estate leads, and it differs among many factors, right? So each campaign has its own best time to call. So when we have an agreement with one of our customers, we're obligated to work, let's say, 160 hours total for that month. We'll make sure that we fulfill the 160 hours in the most efficient way possible, right? So instead of the 160 hours being 8 hours a day, 5 days a week across 4 weeks, we'll have it through the best time to calls, and we'll utilize all the resources we have at the time, because the license, we already have it, right? So once we fulfill the 8 hours that will be on this campaign, we can fulfill another 8 hours on another campaign at their best time to call. And we were also about to show a sheet. I believe it's showing us the pickup rate based off the campaign. This kind of helps us in basically the logistics of shuffling the callers, right?
Now, the previous dashboard that we showed, it's just the very basic dashboard that we have, just the essentials of what you need. But obviously, for each campaign that we have, I'm sure that every single one of you, you're gonna have that specific metric, that one thing that you really want to track and you think really matters to your campaign. And what we do is, since we built basically all of this in-house ourselves, is we can make that come true. We can have any metric or any statistic that you want to track, we can have it on a dashboard. For example, this is one of the dashboards that we have built. This specific client, they have a cadence that they follow for each campaign. I'm not going to get into too many specifics, but basically we have each group we can track their dispositions across each campaign. We can see maybe if we did something different for one of these, we can see what worked, what didn't, and we can adjust accordingly. Something else as well, we want to make sure that, just raw numbers are nice. It's great to have these in front of you to be able to track things and be able to compare things. But something else as well that you want to do is you want to put these things in rates. You want to have them in rates because when you have just raw numbers, it's easy to be misleading. It's easy to not really be able to compare them effectively. But when you have things in rates, it's much easier to be able to get a clearer picture of what's going on. It's very similar to what we showed over here, just in percentages instead. So it's easier to know what happened because, if you dialed one campaign for 1,000 dials, and you dial another one for 100, the raw numbers, they're going to be a lot different. It's hard to compare. We also want to make sure that we are tracking our callers where, for example, if they're on a manual dialer, where they're calling each number one by one, not a predictive one or a power dialer, want to make sure that they're performing up to standard, they're not slacking off, they're not waiting too much between calls. So we want to make sure that we're tracking this as well. And also for this specific campaign, we have a bunch more pages over here showing some more statistics regarding the disconnected numbers. So for example, one thing that we did find out is, one great thing about this dashboard is we have a date selector over here. Let's, for example, pull up a date from way back over here. One thing that we did find for this campaign is their skip tracing source. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with skip tracing. Some of these services, they give you, let's say, 3, 4, 5 numbers, but obviously not all of them are the same quality. We were having a really big issue with this campaign where we had a lot of disconnected numbers. And what we did is we suspected that the skip tracing, the numbers that we're having, maybe some of them are more quality than others. So how we analyzed it is we got this dashboard and we have this first chart, for example, showing us the disconnected numbers by each phone slot. So when you take a look at this, you can see the first phone number, it's very high quality. Nearly 98% of the time, it's not a disconnected number. But when you go down to the third or the fourth, you can see that spikes up a lot. We also see this across the board, basically. So what we did is we started excluding some of these lower quality numbers and focused on the higher quality ones first. And that boosted our productivity by a lot, which did really help us out in the long term. And this is basically the same as the missed times to call that we've analyzed, but also just as a little extra, same thing about the phone slot. First phone, very high quality, getting the most of our appointments there. And we wanted to see it's always good to have fresh data. It's always good to bring in more and have fresh numbers to call, fresh contacts. But we wanted to know, when do you get a new list? How many times do you need to go through a list before you need a new one? We also wanted to analyze, when do we get our conversions? Which number of dials do we need? So we saw that actually the majority of the people, they pick up at the very start, at the very first call, they pick up, and that's the bulk of our appointments. But also you can see over here, some person, it took us 10 calls to reach them and convert them. So we can also do this. Of course, this is just 1 week that we're looking at. When you do this on a bigger scale, it really paints a clearer picture. It paints the picture where you can draw conclusions, you can understand what's going on, and it really does help optimize your campaign, because if you have a bad list, even the best caller, he's not going to be able to get many conversions out of that.
Yes, and I put in DealMachine, you can get the best numbers when you're exporting by selecting only likely owners, not potential owners, not renters, not family.
Exactly. Helps a lot in getting in touch with the correct phone numbers and the correct contacts that you want to be talking to.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.